to start with science, and we're going to get back to the topic of matter. And I know that we talked about matter last class. We talked about the definition of matter. We talked about molecules. We talked about atoms. But we're going to continue with that today and talk about one of the states of matter. So first, we're going to go ahead and watch this Matter Chatter YouTube song. It's really good. I hope you like it.
The stuff of life is matter. Now here's some scientific chatter. I'm gonna give it to you nice and straight. When it comes to matter, there are three states: solid or liquid or gas. Solids stay put in a single place. When put in something else, they keep their own shape. Your chair is a solid, and so is a box. Your shirt is a solid, and so are your socks. A table is a solid, and so is your phone. A cookie's a solid, and so is a stone. Can you think of any more solids?
Okay guys, so that was the Matter Chatter song. So we're going to go ahead and review kind of the things we talked about last class. Remember last class we talked about the definition of matter. So matter is anything that takes up space, anything that has mass. So matter is all around us, and we discussed how there's different states of matter. So there are three states of matter. There's solids, liquids, and gases, and that's why matter is all around us, because those things take up space and they have mass. So keep that in mind before we continue with the next lesson. But matter is also made of atoms and molecules, so we did talk about that. That's going to be really important today too, so let's keep that in mind, that matter takes up space, it has mass, it's made out of atoms and molecules, and there's three states: solid, liquid, and gas. We also talked about mass last class, okay? We talked about the amount of matter in an object is its mass. So objects that are larger have a larger mass, objects that are smaller have a smaller mass. We talked about how you can measure mass with grams and kilograms. So that's something I also want you to keep in mind. We talked about the volume of an object, okay? So the volume of an object is the amount of space occupied by that object. And we talked about how you can measure that with liters and millimeters. So keep that in mind also. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get on to our topic for today. We've got four pictures here. We've got a baseball, we have a shoe, we have a banana, and we have a rock. And I want you to think to yourself, what state of matter do you think these pictures represent? So we talked about how, last class we talked about how matter is all around us, it takes up space. We talked about that there was three states of matter. So there were solid, liquids, and gases. So I want you to really think to yourself, looking at this picture, all four of these pictures, what do you think they represent? Do they represent solids, liquids, or gases? Okay, so you have a second to think to yourself. Okay, so once you think you have an answer, go ahead and put your thumb up. All right, everybody seems to have their answer, so let's see. Okay, those were solids. So if you thought they were solids, put both hands up in the air and say, yay, I got it right. Okay, these are also other examples of solids. We have a fish, we have some books, we have a car. But if you guys have any more examples of solids, go ahead and turn to your partner, whisper your partner three more examples of solids that you can think of. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. We're going to talk about what a solid is. So what is the definition of a solid? What is a solid really? So solids have a definite volume. So remember we talked about volume before, the amount of space an object takes up. So solids have a definite volume and they have a definite shape. So they don't change shape. Solids also, so this means solids size and shape remains the same. So when you're looking at a solid, it's going to have a definite volume, definite shape, and the size and shape are going to remain the same. So when you're looking at a car, it's typically going to stay the same. When you're looking at a pillow, at your desk, the size and shape stay the same. It takes up the same amount of room in the classroom. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little example of a solid. One of the examples I gave you at the beginning was a shoe. And if we see here, I have a shoe in this box. And the cool thing about this shoe is no matter where I put this shoe, it's not gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna change its shape, it's not gonna change its size, it's not gonna spread out. When I put the shoe back into the box, it doesn't change its shape to fit into the box. It stays the exact same shape. So that is my example of a solid. You notice shoe outside the box, shoe inside the box, same shape. So I want you to think to yourself for a minute, why do you think the shoe does not change shape? You don't have to call it the answer, just keep your thought to yourself for a second, but have a second to think, why did the shoe not change shape? Because we're gonna get to that. But now you guys are gonna think, pair, share. You're gonna think back to your last lesson, the last lesson about molecules, okay? We reviewed molecules and atoms, we reviewed the definition of matter, so I want you to think about molecules and think about what we talked about with molecules. So why do you think solids keep a definite volume and a definite shape? And how does this make solids similar, okay? So I want you to turn to your partner right now, take a few minutes, think about why you think solids keep a definite volume and definite shape. Think about the shoe box I showed you. Think about how the shoe did not change its shape when I put it into the box, when I take it out of the box, when I set it on the floor, when I set it on the table. Doesn't change its shape and it takes the same amount of space up. So I want you to really think about that and turn to your partner, talk about it for a few minutes. Okay, stop. Okay, so I hope you guys had enough time to talk about it. So the reason solids keep a definite volume and a definite shape is because the molecules in a solid are packed tightly together. So the molecules in a solid do not move. They can actually only vibrate. So I know we haven't talked about liquids yet and we haven't talked about gases yet, but if you look at this picture, the solid molecules, because remember we said matter is made out of molecules, right? The solids molecules are packed tightly together. So the solid doesn't change its shape because its molecules are so tightly together that they can't move. In next class, we're going to be talking more about liquids, but the liquids molecules are a little more fluid, still close together, but not completely. And gases molecules can go anywhere. They can go crazy, but solids really tightly bound. So if you said to your partner, the reason the shoe didn't change shape is because of its molecules, then you were right, because the molecules in this shoe are so tightly bound together that it can't change shape. Like liquid can change shape in glasses and gas can change shape. Solids can't do that. So we'll talk more about molecules next class. But we're going to go ahead and move on to something fun. We're going to do matter bingo. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that out to you guys. Once you get your bingo cards, I'm going to be calling out different solids. And you're going to be putting a red chip on the solids. And whoever gets bingo with the solids, make it a class prize. So we're going to go ahead and do that to review different solids, talk about that. We can talk about maybe more examples that you guys have of solids. Okay, you guys did such a good job during matter bingo. Thank you so much. So we're going to talk a little bit about how the Bible can correlate to matter and the solids we talked about today. Okay, so in Genesis 1:1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay? And in Colossians 1:17, it says, he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. We know that God created the earth, which means God created all the matter we see around us, and that includes all the solids we've talked about today. And if you look at Colossians 1:17, it's telling us that God created all matter with a purpose. Okay, so matter has a purpose and everything around us does have a purpose. And God created this with diligence. So I really want you guys to be diligent with your work and be diligent with the world around you to really appreciate and take in all of God's beauty. Look around you and maybe tonight point out different solids to your parents and say, oh, God made that, God made that. You know, because he did create the world around us. So that is something I want you guys to take in tonight and kind of thank God tonight for the diligence he put in and the purpose he put in when he created all the matter around us. So we're going to talk about liquids and gases next class, and God also created those things. So that's something I want you guys to really keep in mind. I want you guys to pull out a blank piece of paper. So we're going to be doing something independently now. We're not going to be working with our table partners, which I know we've done most of the class today. I want you guys to pull out a blank piece of paper, and I want you to draw 3 solids you see in the classroom. So I don't want you to pick stuff from outside. I don't want you to pick stuff from home. I want you to look around the classroom that we're in right now, and I want you to pick 3 solids that you see in the classroom right now. And go ahead and draw them on your paper. You can use crayons, you can use markers. Make sure you put your name on the top, and then I'm going to be walking around looking at them, and when I see people who are making a really, really good effort, picking really, really good solids, I'll have a few of you guys come up and share the different solids that you have. Okay guys, your independent work looked awesome. I love the examples of the school flag, of the chalk. I love the examples of the markers and the crayons. Those are all good examples of solids, so you guys can go home tonight and show your parents the different solids that you found in the classroom. So before we wrap this up, we're gonna go ahead and do a true or false of solids, okay? So this is all the stuff we've talked about today. So from your seats, if you think the answer is true, I want you to put 2 thumbs up. And if you think the answer is false, I want you to put 2 thumbs down. And then we will go ahead and reveal if the answer is true or false and give you the correct answer if it is false. Okay, so the first true or false, solids are one of 5 states of matter. So if you think that is true, go ahead and lift 2 thumbs up, and if you think that is false, go ahead and put 2 thumbs down. Okay, the answer is false. So solids are one of 3 states of matter. So remember we talked about that last class, we talked about that a little bit more today. There's solids, liquids, and gases. Okay, solids molecules are packed tightly together. So solids molecules are packed tightly together. If you think that is true, go ahead and put 2 thumbs up. And if you think that is false, go ahead and put 2 thumbs down. Okay? The answer is true. So molecules in a solid are packed tightly together. So remember, we showed the picture of all the little circles closely together. We said that they only vibrate, they don't get to bounce around, they don't get to move. And we showed the example of the shoe not changing shape, and that's because the molecules are tightly together. All right, so the next one, solids have a definite volume, but not a definite shape. So this is based off of what we talked about today. So 2 thumbs up if it's true, 2 thumbs down if it's false. Okay, the answer is false. Solids do have a definite volume, and they do have a definite shape. So make sure when you're reading questions like that, you're reading the full question, because this part was true, but this part was false. All right, last one. An apple is an example of a solid. So 2 thumbs up if it's true, 2 thumbs down if it's false. Okay. The answer is true. An apple is an example of a solid. You guys did awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for paying such good attention today. We're going to go ahead and line up. Thank you.